What the heck? What's up, guys? Today on What the Tech, we are going to take a look at how to install the REAPER engine in your MTW. Let's start off by talking about a couple tools. You're going to need a 1/4-inch wrench, and I would recommend having some sort of a small tool. This is a small Allen key, but you could also use a small screwdriver. We'll take a look at how we want to use that in the future. And then again, I would recommend a small set of tweezers if you're going to do the hop-up as well, and we'll talk about why we would like those, but these two are not absolutely necessary. You are going to need a 1/4-inch wrench, however, for the airline. So, right here we have our MTW. This is one that we set aside in the shop for having a few problems, and we are using it for testing. So, we're going to start by popping the body pins, pulling it out. Lower receiver can get set aside. We won't need that. Upper receiver. We're going to start by popping the back clip. This is where your small screwdriver, or in this case an Allen key, comes in handy. You can also pop it out with your finger, but it's easier if you just have a small tool. Then I'm going to pop the connection off at the back, and the connector can come right out. And go ahead and thread the airline through underneath the back lug. And then we're going to take our tool again and just pop the front clip straight out. Then you can pull your charging handle, and the whole assembly will come out. So this is our Gen 2 Inferno. That's what comes standard in the MTW. Now, before we go any further, I want to talk about the hop-up. For the time being, we are shipping a replacement hop-up along with your REAPER engine. So if you order the aftermarket REAPER, you'll get a separate hop-up as well. The reason is we had to make a few small changes to the hop-up dimensions in order to get it to work correctly with the REAPER engine. So we're including it for you to swap out. Now, if you're watching this video a little later on, you may have an MTW that already has those modifications, and you might have no need to swap it, in which case you just have a spare and you're all good. So the way that you can tell is there is a small detent right here on the body of the hop-up. You can see it through the window right here. This one that is installed does not have one. The one right here you can see does have that detent, and that marks it as the updated design that has the changes necessary to work correctly with the REAPER. So we're going to go ahead and show you how to swap the hop-up as well. So the hop-up assembly can slide straight out the back. Hold on to your spring. There are several ways that you could go about disassembling this, but we're going to show you the way that we go about doing it, our sort of recommended procedure. I find it has the least possibility of damaging the hop-up rubber, which happens somewhat frequently when you're installing and uninstalling the rubbers. They can get damaged or torn. So we pop the back ring off. Now we can flip up the application arm and get the nub out of the way. We'll hold on to that because we'll want that in a minute. We're going to pop the C-clip out, and that can get set to the side because we're replacing all that. And then if you just pull and twist gently, it will come right out. Okay, you'll notice the hop-up rubber didn't come with this. That's fairly normal for the MTW hop-ups. They generally, when you disassemble them like this, you leave the hop-up rubber inside, which is just fine. This is where the tweezers come in. For the tweezers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach in. I'm going to put one side of the tweezers in between the hop-up rubber and the body. I'm going to push a ways in, pinch down, twist, and pull out. So you can see here where I'm going in between, twist and pull out. And again, people have different ways that they assemble and disassemble hop-ups. We just find that this is a way that works consistently without, it's very easy to do, and it avoids any damage to the hop-up rubber. So we're going to set this aside, and we're going to go ahead and install the new hop-up. So before we go ahead and reinstall this, let's talk about the little O-ring here. This O-ring takes up the space between the barrel and the hop-up to provide some support. Most likely on the new hop-up that you received with your Reaper, you will have one of these. This takes the place of the O-ring on the original design and is a tapered compression fitting, so it'll actually push in and will provide a little bit more support there. It's just a little bit improved solution for the stabilization there. So let's go ahead and replace our feed tube. So to remove this, you can kind of push down and back towards the back of the gun, and your feed tube will come out. To install the new one, we're going to do the opposite. You're going to go in, and what you're going to do is line up these two tabs here with the slot in the top of the barrel that we're pushing this into, and you're going to kind of push down and forward, and it will snap up into place there. There we go. And go ahead and install the hop-up. As normal, the ridge on the bottom of the hop-up rubber slides into the ridge on the barrel. Before we install the hop-up, we're going to apply a small amount of silicone. Spread it out on the outside of the hop-up rubber. Again, we don't want to get any of this inside. The cut on the bottom of the barrel goes on the bottom side towards the feed tube. And again, we're going to install it with just a little bit of a twisting motion back and forth will get it slide smoother. You don't want to twist it a lot or you'll end up getting the hop-up rubber twisted in the housing, and it's going to cause problems. So again, just make sure it's seated in there correctly. Again, the cut on the bottom of the barrel should line up with the seam line in the bottom of the hop-up. C-clip can snap into place like so. Then our compression ring can slide in, lock into place right there. Take our nub, put it right there, rotate it into place, and there you go. Alright, so now we can put the spring back on, reinstall the barrel and hop up as per usual. Now again, if you have an MTW that already has the detent there, you will not need to swap the hop up, and you can just keep the extra one as a spare. Back to swapping the engine, all we're going to do is take our 1/4 inch wrench, loosen the fitting on the back of the engine, take the airline and install it the same location on the Reaper, snug it down. Now this particular Reaper does not have the screw installed raised on the top, but yours will come with that for the MTW. That screw will sit right down in the top of the charging handle, and the whole assembly will just slide right inside. You can push it forward till the groove in the engine lines up like so. Press your clip in, thread your airline through. Now your wiring can go back in. This is a little hard to show on camera, but we're just going to reinstall the plug in the back of the solenoid, trying to hold it at an angle that you can kind of see what I'm doing. There we go. And the airline's going to go through the slot in the contact yoke, and it snaps into place. Congratulations, you have installed the Reaper in your MTW. There's just one more thing that we're going to want to do. I'm going to go ahead and put this back together. So the last thing we're going to want to do is to set the dwell for the Reaper. Reaper needs a higher dwell setting than your Inferno, so we're going to hold down the trigger, put it in semi, hold down the trigger, and plug in the battery. Okay. And drop the battery, wiring back in the buffer tube. Alright, so again, we can check that we're in programming mode because the gun will fire, the solenoid will fire when you release the trigger, not when you pull it. So in semi, I'm just going to hold down the trigger, and every second it will fire a shot. You'll hear the solenoid fire. What I'm waiting to hear is a double click. Okay. If you heard the double click, that means that it is the max dwell setting. For the Reaper, you most likely will want it set at the max setting or one step down from it. You can try lower settings if you're going for a really high rate of fire and see if it works, but generally one of those two max settings is where you're going to want to be for the Reaper. The dwell on the Reaper doesn't impact the efficiency. It's releasing a fixed volume of air, but it will affect whether or not the gun will feed, and if the dwell isn't high enough, then the gun won't feed properly. Alright guys, so that is it. We installed the Reaper in our MTW, showed you how to swap the hop off and change the settings. So if you have any questions, shoot us a message at tech@wolverineairsoft.com or contact us on Facebook. Be sure to give us a like, a follow on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the places where you use social media, and we will see you guys out on the field.